Well, here it is, guys. This is the all-new Infiniti QX80, and some will tell you that Infiniti is a dying brand. They don't really have a soul anymore. They don't have passion. Well, this all-new QX80 is here to prove that wrong to you, to tell you that Infiniti is still in the game. And honestly, after driving this over the past week, I'm actually excited for what they have to come. Some really exciting new EV sedans, EV SUVs, and new products down the pipeline. This is giving me a lot of hope for the brand, and they're doing a lot of right here with all new design, all new technology, pretty cool features, and a really nice looking package that stands out amongst the crowd of big SUVs, especially luxury SUVs in this market. This QX80 has nailed a lot of fantastic points, but I wouldn't say Infiniti has gotten everything just right so far. So we're gonna go take a full in-depth review and tour of this all-new Infiniti QX80. I'm gonna tell you what Infiniti is doing really, really right and what I think they need to work on just a little bit more to even further stand out above the crowd. Let's go dive in. Now, of course, with an all-new platform comes an all-new engine, and this is a potent engine. Now, while it might not be the V8 of old, this is actually a pretty good powertrain, I think, for the all-new Infiniti QX80. This is a 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6, making around 415 horsepower and over 500 pound-feet of torque, sending it to a full-time all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive system, and it's pretty potent. This is going through a 9-speed automatic gearbox. It can tow 8,500 pounds as well, and it is derived from the VR family of Nissan and Infiniti engines. So it's essentially a larger size version of the VR30 that we've found in the Q50 and the Q60 of the past, but I think this is a really cool engine. I think they really took their own with this engine, and yes, it's going to be in the new Patrol, of course, with a little bit less power, but it has that signature Infiniti sound, and I think a lot of these new design signatures they're going with along with this engine sound is a really smart move to really create a next generation of Infiniti identity, and this QX80 is really pursuing that forward with this new powertrain. And it's a potent powertrain. Not only is it quick, but it helps to improve fuel economy versus the old V8 just a little bit, I would say. And overall, no complaints. It's responsive, it sounds good, it's very quick to haul around all the time. Haven't had no issues with it over this course of the week as well. So I'm really a fan of this powertrain, and honestly, I do not miss the V8 whatsoever. Now, of course, with an all-new vehicle, all-new engine comes an all-new design language, and this 2025 Infiniti QX80 comes with their new Artistry in Motion design language, and oh boy, I think it's actually a really cool step. Up front here, we can see a very bold new fascia, both on the grille and the headlight front. And if you notice something interesting about this grille and headlights, they kind of have a very similar pattern to them. And Infiniti wanted to mimic this after a bamboo forest. And honestly, I think it's a really cool design with these individual segmented daytime running light pieces over here. And it kind of works into the double arched grille we have over here, this new signature Infiniti design, right into this 3D glowing Infiniti badge we see right up here. Honestly, this is a really cool design. They actually implemented it really well, and I love how it has a 3D effect, and it's not just a flat badge with a glowing illuminated bit around it. Coming down lower over here, we're going to see our main headlight beams actually really mounted low on this vehicle. I've been seeing this more common now with this new split design, and I like how it's not very an offensive split design. It's very well integrated personally, how I think here. And I still like how Infiniti has incorporated their kind of big double arched hood design. It's still on this QX80. It's not as aggressive and I would almost say bulbous as it once did, but it looks refined, more artistic, if one may say. Now, coming over to the side of the Infiniti QX80, we have these absolutely massive 22-inch wheels and this really nice kind of dark black kind of gunmetal look effect. I think these are really cool wheels. They fit this vehicle's character quite well. We can also see this new styled design vent on the side over here, which kind of blends in with that bamboo forest thing we're seeing as part of this new Artistry in Motion design language. And we're also rocking some Bridgestone rubber here with some decently sized sidewall as well. I'm happy they didn't go with a really thin tire and a huge wheel on this vehicle. I think they just look a little bit silly, and those combinations always ruin the ride quality. There are smaller wheels you can get on the lower trims of the Infiniti QX80, but with this Autographc we have right here, these are the ones you're going to want to get to kind of show off to all of your friends. Now, coming back to the rear of the Infiniti QX80 is honestly one of my favorite parts of the car. Of course, styling is subjective, but if I'm going to put my opinion out here, this looks awesome. I've never seen anything else on the road that stands out this much as this vehicle in this class right now. It's truly a big luxury SUV. Coming over to the side panel over here, just this rear 3-quarter, you can see how this kind of floating roof style design with the two-tone paint finish. We have gloss black up here and this really nice kind of dynamic silver paint we have over here. Nice big glass going all the way to the back, right where your trunk is in the rear quarter panel, as well as this really sleek Autographc badge, big and plastered right on the side of the vehicle. And I'm glad they kind of blended it in with this kind of gunmetal style trim in the back over here. It looks incredible. And just check out these rear taillights. These are huge. It's a full width rear light bar with over 300 LEDs to give you this incredible effect back here. It's kind of like that same kind of bamboo forest style piano key effect that Infiniti's going with. I personally think it looks absolutely epic. And a lot of people have been like, oh, the glass of this vehicle is so tall and the body is a little short and scrunched. That's the whole point of it. It looks cool like this. This vehicle always kind of had that same vibe to it. I like how they kind of continued it over to this next generation QX80. Now coming back to the rear of the Infiniti QX80, we're gonna open up this massive power tailgate here. Of course, lots of ways to do it. You can kick it, you can open it, do all these fun things. You can also press this button right here to manually open up the tailgate. And thankfully, it's quick enough to open and close as well. Coming inside here, you will notice how big the bumper is on this vehicle. So the trunk really starts right here, and the bumper is here. This is about a little over a foot of space between where the bumper is and this actual cargo space area is. But nonetheless, behind the third row, you have a decent amount of cargo space, nothing too big. Thankfully though, all of the seats in this Infiniti are completely powered, even from the front infotainment system, but we have these really handy buttons in the back over here to lower our third row for us super easily. So we just press these two buttons really quickly, and we don't even have to hold them. They do go down automatically for us, which is a really nice touch. And that is gonna unlock plenty more cargo space for you in this rear of the Infiniti QX80. Opening up this little floor storage over here, you have a little bit of additional storage, not too much there. We also have a 120 volt power outlet back here, as well as, of course, controls to fold down those second row captain's chairs as well to really unlock a lot more space in the rear of this QX80. Is it the biggest amount of cargo space in this segment? No, but I think it is definitely a nice little improvement over the previous QX80, but even by just a little bit of a margin. Now over here on the side of the new Infiniti QX80, you can definitely see just not only it's bigger in length, but it's also larger in every dimension pretty much. And they've also redone this platform in this new generation to both increase the torsional and lateral rigidity by some significant numbers as well, 25% and 57%. So this is a lot more better handling vehicle in terms of body structure and body stiffness, and you definitely notice that out on the roads. And they've also done a lot of measures to help improve aerodynamics. As you know, this is essentially a large brick on wheels, but they've slimmed down this brick. They have these new flush door handles to help reduce exterior wind noise and wind buffeting. They've also optimized all of the pieces around this wind side mirror area over here to do the same. So I really like that effect, as well as this kind of sleek new side step that's integrated to the side of the vehicle. It's integrated in a way that I think is aerodynamically optimized. I don't hear any sort of wind noise on it out on the highway. Now coming into the rear seats of the all-new Infiniti QX80, you're going to find a really and truly incredible space that I think really matches up to par with a lot of big luxury SUVs in this segment. We have these incredible captain's chairs back here with this unique Autographc inspired burgundy leather interior with this nice quilting, but these chairs are a lot more than just nice to sit in. They also have power adjustment. I can move myself forward and recline as well with these power controls on the side of the seat, or I can actually go to this touchscreen in the center control panel, and this is where I can actually control my heated, ventilated, and massaging seat functions for this second row captain's chair seat over here. Really impressive stuff, and it can all be controlled from this center console display over here. You also have two big cup holders right over here in the center console, as well as this truly massive center storage space back here, which closes and reveals two USB-C ports, but there are also an additional two USB-C ports in this front little center console area over here, and this is where you're going to find your second zone climate control systems. You can also access your heated and ventilating seat options from over here, though there is no split dual zone system in the second row, just one set of climate controls. Otherwise, I think it's a really fantastic space. The carpeting even is really thick and plush with the Infiniti logo in it, and you have even more storage underneath the sides over here. So really nice stuff in the back of this Infiniti QX80, and just even on the door panels, they match exactly what we're seeing in the front end. This gorgeous wood trim with these metal inlays. We have ambient lighting strips, these really nice metal speaker grills for our Klipsch reference Premier audio system, and really comfortable armrests as well. They're very thickly padded, and as well as some more additional storage on the sides of our doors over there. Now let's see how this third row is and how easy it is to get in and out of it. And as well as a rear passenger, we can see we have our climate control systems here But we also have something called biometric cooling. So if you look right there, there's an infrared sensor that's actually looking at me and my other passenger over here who would be sitting here, and it will adjust the climate accordingly if we get too hot or too cold based on our body temperature. So that's a pretty cool touch, as well as our heated and ventilated seats. So there's a lot of nice climate adjustments happening for this second row area. Now, what about getting into the third row of your all-new Infiniti QX80? Well, thankfully, that's a really easy process, even with these second row captain's chairs we have here. On the top of our chair, we have a little bit of a button that you press once, and it automatically does the operation to move the seat forward for me, and it's honestly quite quick to get in and out, so really not worried about that, and it goes pretty far up. We have a two-step style process here with these side steps in here, and I can climb in pretty easily. And wow, this is actually a really nice rear seat area. While I'm talking, I'm going to put the seat back so it locks back into place, and you'll see how much leg room I have. But I'm 6 feet tall and I fit back here perfectly fine. My head is touching the ceiling, but just ever so slightly. I have nice lighting up here, and I can actually sit here comfortably, and the second row passenger is not cramped either, so I actually like that. And as a third row passenger, I actually have a heated seat, and the seat is also power reclining as well. So if you don't have a lot of cargo in that rear trunk behind the third row, I can recline my third row seat as well via a button on the side. I also got my own USB-C port on each side back here, and 2 cup holders for each side as well. So these are some of the nicest third row seats that I've honestly ever sat in, and I think this is going to be a really big reason to be considering the all-new Infiniti QX80, because you're getting almost all the same nice luxury features as the second and first row passengers are getting, and you even have your own vent on each side to make sure you're not being suffocated back here. We have nice big windows as well to kind of see out of, so getting out is probably just as easy as getting in. And honestly, this second row passenger can even move up even further back, because I had that much leg and foot room back here. So really impressive in Infiniti. Getting out is also not that difficult. We have an arm holder over here if you want to hand on, but it's pretty easy to just get out. Okay guys, getting into the front of the Infiniti QX80, apologies for the wind, but here we have this really incredible interior for this Infiniti QX80 Autographc. We have these really nice seats here. This is the burgundy leather seats we're going to be getting in this Autographc trim. So we have the nice Autographc script up here, and we also get these impressive looking Klipsch audio speakers in your headrest over here with this really nice metal inlay over it. I think this is a really gorgeous look for your headrest. But let's hop inside and check out this interior. Side step is pretty easy to access and get into. Pretty nice solid door thunk as well. And check out this all new interior from Infiniti. This is not only a big step in the right direction for Infiniti in terms of interior technology, but also quality and design, because they've kind of been stuck in a little bit of the past in terms of their interiors. But this is a huge step forward. So let's find our start stop button, which is located right over here in the center, and bring it to life. Check out that new launch animation we have here, and this is the all new Infiniti QX80's interior. And let me tell you, lots of stuff to talk about here, so let's dive in real quick. So up front here, everything's pretty much all new, part of this Infiniti's Artistry in motion design language here, and this is their new monolithic, as they call it, screen layout here. So these two 14+ inch displays kind of mashed together in this one giant piece up here. It's a really commanding view. But before we even get to this technology, the materials and quality of this interior is also really impressive. The seats themselves, very comfortable, like I mentioned, Autographc logo on top as well. And we have lots of adjustments for the seats as well that are all located down here. So we have massage, we have lumbar support, we have side bolster adjustment, and lots of stuff to go. And even pressing this button to turn on our massage, we can see we can come to the center console here and adjust our massage settings as well. So lots of fun features there, as well as for the second row as well. So lots of luxury on the Autographc trim. Now this is also an all new steering wheel for Infiniti. I would say it's a little bit big and chunky, but it's also quite comfortable to hold. Feels very nice wrapped in leather. And these are real metal inlays over here with this nice gunmetal look, and that Infiniti design that we're seeing on the front grille as well. The rest of the steering wheel I think is also quite nice. You can see we have paddle shifters on here, as well as our driver monitor over here for our Pro Pilot Assist system. On the left-hand side of the steering wheel here, we have all of those controls for that Pro Pilot Assist 2.2 system, so it really works pretty well. And over here is where how we can control our multifunctional display over here, so we can actually change this to a few different designs, so it doesn't just have to be this circle layout. We can bring it all the way down here to customize display. We can pick through 3 different meter views, and dynamic is their newer style design one here that I think we're going to see more standard, as well as this enhanced view as well. But lots of different views here on the Infiniti's cluster over here. We also have a heads-up display as well. Coming over to the left-hand side, we have all of our nice controls over here. Nice button quality. I think they all feel quite nice. Lots of stuff here. Power mirrors, we have memory seats, as well as our steering assist, lane keep assist, auto stop start, turn on and off our heads-up display, as well as auto hold will be located right next to your emergency brake on the left-hand side over there. The materials in here, like I said, are also fantastic. This wood trim over here, open pore wood with these metal inlays, are a really nice touch. Our ambient light strip really nicely integrated into here as well. And that leather is covering the entire door panels. And these armrests over here are super squishy for your elbows. I think it's a really nice point to kind of focus on over there. Same thing goes over here. So we have not only storage underneath, but we also have a nice padding over here for your knees, so they don't kind of hit any hard points there. So I do like that touch. And storage continues to increase over here from a wireless charger port over here with 2 USB-C ports, as well as 2 cup holders over here as well. And popping open this center console here reveals the cool box over here. So you can actually turn on this cool box and it will get super, super cold for you if you want to keep some drinks or something cool. It's a little bit loud, I would say, even when it is closed, but it's a nice feature to have in a $100,000 plus luxury truck. I will say though that these 2 panels sometimes get a little bit annoying when you're trying to activate some controls, because as you can see, I can just rest my arm in there and it does pop open. Same thing happens with this cup holder side over here. So this might be a design worth reconsidering in the future, Infiniti, but right now I think it looks quite nice, especially all wrapped in leather. Also, we have that metal inlays over here with the wood all across our dash with ambient lighting, and it looks really cool in here at night with all of this unique design that Infiniti has baked into this interior, even with their Infiniti logo right on the right-hand side over here near the passenger, and it illuminates at night. So it's really cool design elements we're seeing in here. We also have a digital rear view camera that you can turn on and off as well, with lots of adjustment, as well as an interior camera and drive recorder. So there's a camera up front and in the back of your Infiniti that work as a dash cam actually. So you can use that all the time where you're driving. It'll store it locally on the vehicle as well. Of course, that's going to be a really helpful feature if you don't want to have to go out and buy a dash cam to have installed into your Infiniti. It also works as a selfie cam as well for you. So that's a really nice touch. And the camera quality is generally quite high. And speaking of camera quality, one new thing that this Infiniti QX80 is debuting is not only a whole bunch of incredible camera systems here. So we have the typical 3D view. We can also go to this really wide angle view where we have a view of both of our front wheels, a super front wide angle view, as well as that kind of projected road underneath the vehicle view. But what's really interesting here is you can actually make this fit both screens. This is what they're calling an industry first here. I'm not sure how exactly helpful it is in all situations, but it's definitely something unique and no one else seems to have done it yet. And this also works for this really wide angle camera as well. So you can have it projected on both displays, so you're really getting a nice view of the front of your vehicle. You can also have location pinpoints on here to add on if you want this camera to activate at certain location points, maybe for a garage or a driveway or something where you want to have a nice front view of your Infiniti QX80. Other than that, there's still so much we need to dive about in this interior, especially how you can control this display right here. So we have a physical volume knob right here, which is nicely integrated into our air vents, and as well as track forward and reverse buttons as well. But the really interesting thing is, while you're sitting here, sometimes if you want to sit a little bit further back, I can't reach this display, which I think is a little bit dangerous while driving. So thankfully, Infiniti invented a way, well, I wouldn't say invented, but they've kind of come up with a new solution to this that we've seen on some Mercedes products, and I think Lucid's about to start doing this as well, is where you can use this control to access both this display and this display. Though what I found in process is that it's a little bit more confusing than that. Sometimes I found that a double press is really how you kind of get between these two displays. So right now you can see it's activated on this side, so now I can use the scroll wheel to kind of access this lower menu. I can pop up here and kind of scroll through all of these menus over here. But you'll see in a second is that not everything is actually accessible via this little dial here. So the second I go into settings, the steering wheel control can no longer be used to control any of these settings over here, which I think is a little bit of a oversight. I'm not sure why you can't control the settings with the steering wheel control. Hopefully a software update can fix that, but I think that would be really nice to do, because there's a lot of stuff in the settings that you can actually do with this vehicle that you might not want to be doing via touch all the time. Otherwise, you can just press this button to go back, and then you're controlling your center display over here as well, which is really nice as well. You can put maps in here. Apple Maps also projects up here as well when you have that turned on with Apple CarPlay, which of course is wireless. But I think this could use a little bit more of some redesigning to make it a little bit more intuitive. It also works within Apple CarPlay to kind of scroll through everything as well. But a little bit of a learning curve, I'd say, for that one. Now, that also goes to with the menus in the vehicle. There are menus everywhere. Stuff is littered throughout these settings, on the settings up here. I wish all the stuff would be a little bit more generally laid out. Just for example, to kind of control your ambient lighting, you have to go through so many menus. Thankfully, they came up with a little bit of a shortcut display to kind of get to recently used app, like my interior lights, for example, so I can just go to that without having to hop through so many menus. And thankfully, you have over like 64 colors to choose from for this interior ambient lighting. You can just see how many areas of the vehicle it does include. So it's a lot of nice ambient lighting in this interior. I think it really looks really premium at night. And since this is a Google-based system, you can go to the Google Play Store. You can download fun apps like the Fireplace, for example, where I think this is a nice touch to have. You're sitting on a road trip or at a rest stop or something and it's cold out, turn the heat on. That'd be a fun thing to do. You also have TV and shows and things you can watch in here, which is really, really impressive. So again, if you're at a rest stop or something, you can watch those. But since this isn't really an electric vehicle, I guess it doesn't make too much sense. So if you're charging, that would be really useful. You can even load up a YouTube browser as well and the full web browser to kind of search up whatever you want in here. So it has that full integration in here. Generally, I think it's a really nice system. Definitely could use some more work to kind of make it a little bit more refined. The voice assistant, I'd say, really isn't really super impressive. It's just a Google Assistant, and it doesn't have access for things for like climate controls and things, at least on this particular system and version that we're having in this Tesla right now. Because I could say right now, hey Google, I'm hot.
Maybe you'd like to go swimming.
I would like you to actually go change my climate controls, which it can do in some other vehicles. And speaking of the climate controls, it's right located down here in this separate screen here. And it's a big chunky screen. There's no storage behind it whatsoever. So it's kind of taking up quite a bit of space in this center console area over here. And it's a haptic panel as well. So if you listen closely, you kind of feel like that haptic feedback when you're touching it, which I quite like. But as you can see here, you can't just touch the buttons. You do have to really put some force into them to get them working, which I think is honestly quite fine. You can see we control our front area here as well as our rear area over here. But please note in the back, no dual zone. It's just one climate setting over here. Up front here, we have dual temperature control, but no dual fan control. We also have heated and ventilated seats up front as well. We also have a drive mode screen over here. So all of these different drive modes we can access, as well as our air suspension controls, which for some reason the air suspension controls also get a physical button, but it's also in here. Not sure why we really needed that. There's also only a camera button here, but no other really camera button in this screen. That will be located up here. So like I said, things are kind of littered all over the place throughout these systems, but I think generally it's pretty easy to find. We have all-wheel drive auto and 4-high. This is a kind of full-time automatic all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive system at the end of the day that kind of manages itself. I almost forgot to mention we have our Klipsch audio system in here, which we'll get to in our driving impressions, which let's go head out now and see how this thing is out on the road. Okay, everyone, we are now out on the road in the 2025 Infiniti QX80, and oh boy, there is so much to talk about here in this vehicle. I honestly don't even know where to start. So let's just talk about how it drives. So out here on the roads here, we're driving around town and it's in its standard mode, snow. So I like to drive it honestly around in eco and standard most of the time, as well as personal. They both, I think, are the best options to kind of drive it in on a daily basis, though you definitely do have different options, and they all do quite change the character of the vehicle with this Autographc Infiniti QX80, and that's mainly due to the adjustable steering, to the adjustable engine parameters, as well as this dynamic digital suspension, which is really just adaptive damping style system, but it's a little more advanced. It's continuously monitoring the road environment to really kind of just give you a sublime feel and handle body motions around a lot of corners. So that's all working for you in all these different conditions here. On the road, driving around town, this vehicle handles fantastically. I think it's a great cruiser. It really kind of soaks up a lot of the bumps. It really creates this isolated, calming environment in here, which I think it does a great job at, especially with this air suspension. Though I do have to say, regardless of whatever height you're in, or even with the settings for your adaptive suspension, I think it still has that body on frame nature to it. So, and what I mean by that is that going over some harsh bumps, which we're about to do right now actually, the whole body is kind of going to shake like a school bus in a sense. If you've ever been in a school bus and you're going over some bumps and the whole thing just kind of rumbles around a little bit, you still get that over these hard bumps. Not in a very aggressive way. Kind of, if you're sitting in the rear seats, you do kind of feel like you're being tossed around just a little bit, but it's this little bit of these motions that are a little bit unsettling. Thankfully, they don't feel necessarily harsh. They just kind of you do notice it's still there. Nonetheless, overall, when you're on like a smooth patch of pavement right here, it literally feels like you are gliding on the road. And the other amazing thing with this suspension system, specifically with this combination of the adaptive air suspension and the digital suspension system here, is it actually handles really well. You know, driving this vehicle versus honestly even a Mercedes-Benz GLS style or an X7, and those are unibody, they're very long. This is also a very long vehicle. It's around the same size as an Escalade, a short wheelbase, and I don't feel like I'm carrying around a giant rear tail end with me in this particular Infiniti. We'll pop it into sport mode to see if we can get a little bit of exhaust sounds on this turn here. Strong power there for sure. But the interesting thing is that it feels like you're driving like a 2-row SUV, not a 3-row SUV in that sense. That's honestly quite impressive. And, and the really interesting thing is how they've kind of developed this dynamic steering as well. It feels very car-like. It doesn't necessarily feel like a big truck. And now this giant steering wheel, on the other hand, that's something else to be talking about. But overall, I think the driving experience is fantastic, and the huge amounts of glass around you are just truly incredible. You have so much visibility. Check out how it handles these corners. Really, really impressive body control here. It does not feel like a body-on-frame SUV. I feel like I can push it way harder than this thing should be able to do around corners. That was one of the first things I noticed when driving the QX80, this new QX80. They have dramatically improved how this feels around corners. But one of the incredible things about this is it has the next generation kind of Pro Pilot Assist 2.2, or I think it's 2.2 and 2.1. Really, really impressive system. This is, I would say, akin on par to like a lot of these top tier level driver assistance systems on the highway. You press your little blue button on the left hand of the steering wheel here, you press set, and you are on. So Pro Pilot Assist is now active. You can see that with all of your green indicators right here. That's really nice. But the fun thing is let's set a nice high speed, and once you're on an approved road, it will actually turn blue, which it just did right now. So now it's blue, which means I can take my hands off the wheel. Now obviously you have to look forward. You have a camera right here monitoring your eyes to make sure you're always looking forward. You can change your following distance right here, and there's also a lane change assist mode. So if the car thinks that a vehicle in front of you is going too slow, you can press this lane change assist mode and it will move lanes for you into a faster lane to pass the vehicle. And I believe you can also follow a navigation you have set in within the Google Maps within the system in here, which is really, really cool. I used that over on the Nissan Ariya as well, and that worked fantastically on the highway. This is a really good system. Really, really good. I'm glad that Infiniti was able to include this on the new QX80. I think this really, really helps to step up the brand even more because it just works really well. Now, Apple Maps actually displays in my center display here, so if I'm going to my mapping locations here, it does project Apple Maps, and thankfully it can get bigger than this. So if I go over to my customized display settings here and I go to change meter view, I go to enhanced, I'm going to get the biggest map view I can actually get out of this display. So I can go now back after hopping through all my settings, going back to this map, and now I have a nice big Apple Maps in the center of my display. It will not take up the whole display like it does on like an Audi or some other vehicles, but I think that's perfectly fine. It's right in your line of sight, and I think it looks quite nice to have up there. And other stuff. And this particular one's really cool because it kind of expands on all the menus that you have in your QX80 a little bit larger than the other gauge layout screen. So that's also a nice touch. And the new 9-speed, which I think is a fantastic transmission now. Even in sport mode, it allows you to change gears. Downshifts are quick. Upshifts very slow, but you know, it's a giant body on frame SUV. I wouldn't really say it's meant to be driven with manual mode whatsoever. If you need to use manual mode, I guess you can do it, but hold the paddle back for a little bit and it'll pop right back into D if you need to. If you have a little peek right above here with our fuel economy, it's not particularly good. For a twin turbo V6, you know, some people were like, oh, they're doing this because of fuel economy. I mean, I'm sure it's definitely better than the old V8's fuel economy, probably I think around that 20% range. I don't think it's anything too crazy, but we're still averaging around 15. I think their actual claimed highway or just combined average is around that 17, 18 mile per gallon figure. The higher end highway, I believe the best I think this vehicle was able to do in its 4,500 miles of being on the roads was around almost 24 miles per gallon. In the city, you're definitely going to see a lot less miles per gallon as well, because, you know, it's a big vehicle to haul around regardless if this engine's powerful enough. I just really like that classic Infiniti engine sound that they're still were able to keep in here. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for joining me on yet another drive of one of these amazing new vehicles we have in 2024. This QX80 is really impressive. It's a huge step for Infiniti up. Hope this momentum that this new QX80 is bringing really helps to push the brand back into like its full existence once again. And I'm really excited to see what else the brand is going to have to offer. This is a really great product. It's a high price tag for this particular Autographc trim. Personally, I'd go with a Sensory or a Luxe at the end of the day. The two are lower trims than this one. There's also a base pure, but pretty good. I'm impressed. As always, guys, thank you for joining me on another video over at Allcarnews, and stay tuned for more coming soon. Cheers.